Good Sunday morning, Northeast Ohio, as we head into a much-needed holiday week. This year's date for Thanksgiving, the 28th, is the latest that the holiday can be, thanks to actions taken by President Franklin Roosevelt 80 years ago in 1939. 2 years later, the House and Senate would make it official that the fourth Thursday of November would be, for now on, Thanksgiving. Getting the two sides to agree to something today, not quite as easy. The partisan divide evident over the last 2 weeks as the House Intelligence Committee held their public impeachment hearings. Ohio's 3 representatives on the panel, all playing a major role in the debate. As a reminder from here, the committee will put together a report that will be sent to the Judiciary Committee that will write and vote on articles of impeachment, which will then be sent on to the full House. If they get a simple majority of 218 votes to impeach, which is likely in the Democrat-controlled body, it would then move on to the Senate for trial with Chief Justice John Roberts as judge and the entire Senate as jury. I spoke at the end of the week with Ohio's 2 prospective jurors, both having differing views on the issues, but both vowing to keep an open mind.
Each of us has one vote as a jury, and I haven't made up my mind because I want to see, does this rise to the level worthy of conviction and expulsion for the presidency? I want to hear what the president's own lawyers say in his defense. I mean, this is a two-sided thing.
I'm listening. As I've told you before, I'm going to be a juror in the Senate. I think we ought to go through a process in the Senate, hear from both the president's lawyers and hear from the House managers who will make their case. But boy, impeachment and removing somebody from office is an extreme measure. It's never been done in the history of our country. You know, there's been 3 attempts at it in the entire history of our country, only 3, and none have been successful.
Well, impeachment very much on the minds of the Democratic presidential hopefuls this week as they gathered in Atlanta for their 5th debate.
We have to establish the principle, no one is above the law.
Donald Trump doesn't want me to be the nominee. That's pretty clear.
But as we already established, the trial in the Senate involves the Senate as jury, and 5 of the current hopefuls are sitting senators.
For people like Kamala Harris, Warren, Sanders, others who were in the Senate, this is going to be a real obstacle because they have to be there for that trial. And it may be something that we see the Senate decide to take its time with to keep them out of the running further, although who knows, the politics of that get very complicated very quickly.
That could leave an opening for someone like Pete Buttigieg, a man who came to Parma just 9 months ago with a relative anonymity befitting a small-town mayor with a name few people could say.
The proper pronunciation of the name, Pete.
But it is a name Democratic voters in Iowa have come to know, as he has risen quickly in Hawkeye State polls. As a result, University of Missouri political scientist Mitchell McKinney tells News 5, look for Mayor Pete to be a target.
Some of that has been forecast on the stump, Amy Klobuchar, but some others have started to go after Pete Buttigieg, and so we'll see how he's able to defend himself.
I think, he's rising. He's now looking at, he was #1 in a couple of the polls in Iowa. He's being featured as part of the top 4, along with Biden, Warren, and Sanders. And so with that kind of standing, I think the other 3 may come after him.
Before Christmas, we will have one more debate set for December 19th, and then it's the mad dash for Iowa and New Hampshire to start the new year. Well, the beginning of the year is when we should also learn whether or not the Icebreaker Wind project set for Lake Erie will get the final approvals it needs. We update the status of that project as we look at a new plan to give some Ohio voters inland a say in whether or not they want wind turbines in their backyard. Wind turbines, for the host communities, they are a source of green energy and great debate.
If you have a windmill anywhere near your house, congratulations. Your house just went down 75% in value.
While that exact figure has been disputed, property values are a concern for Ohio communities where wind farms exist or are planned, like the one in Seneca County.
The emotional drain on my community is severe.
That's why State Representative Bill Reineke introduced legislation to give residents of a township where a wind farm has been approved by the Ohio Power Siting Board a 90-day window to collect signatures and put the question before voters. Reineke argues the people who have to look at them should have a say in them.
It's easy for people in Columbus, Cleveland, etc., to never see a turbine in their populated areas to promote and push for wind development in rural Ohio.
Among those in opposition are some farmers who see wind as a stable source of revenue for an unstable industry.
Doesn't this bill hinder those farmers from exercising their private property rights and having wind power on their land?
But the legislation would not apply to projects in Lake Erie, where the Icebreaker Wind project is slated to go. That's because the lake isn't in a township, but rather under the control of the state. The lake plans call for the construction of 6 wind turbines 8 to 10 miles off the coast. Those behind the project that's been in the works for a decade say they're nearing the final regulatory hurdle.
We're looking for a decision in the January or February meeting from the Ohio Power Siting Board.
If that's the case, construction of the first freshwater lake wind turbines in the U.S. would only be about 2 years behind.
Based on what we see now, probably at summer 2022 is when you'd see the marine construction activity, and the farm would be up and running about the end of 2022.
With Democracy 2019, I'm John Kosich. Enjoy your Sunday, and if I don't see you, happy Thanksgiving.